Are you a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues radio listener? Of course you are. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call real estate superstar Mike Burgoyne today at 314-753-4060 or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com to earn special rates today.
A proven winner on the hockey rink, Joe Wolf knows what it takes to be the best. That's why he has the best rates in the area and only has rave reviews of his work with Wolf Power Washing. Get that siding back to its original color with Joe. Call him at 314-420-5434. That's 314-420-5434. Hello and welcome, everyone, to the David Backus episode of Season 13. That is, of course, episode number 42 of the original and longest-running blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. I'm Jeff Ponder. This is episode number 473 all-time. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by Mike Burgoyne of Rio Brokerage Realty. Contact Mike at mike@strikewithmike.com or call him at 314-753-4060 and get started selling your current home or buying a new home today. And by Wolf Power Washing. If you're in the St. Louis area and need the services of a professional power washer, Joe Wolf is your guy. Call him at 314-420-5434 and get the best prices in the area. On today's show, I am joined by a true friend of mine and of Let's Go Blues Radio, the winningest goalie in NWHL and PHF history, Amanda Leveille. I believe this is her fifth time on the show. I could be wrong on that. Fourth or fifth time. For those that may not have seen on social media, or if you're not following the PWHL, Lev has officially retired from professional hockey. We discuss that, of course. That is the main focus of discussion, but she did spend last season with the PWHL Minnesota team, and we discussed the crazy shift in her role as she served as the third goalie on that squad after just one season before being the starting goalie for the PHF Minnesota Whitecaps. So having the same fan base, basically, and going from first to third, very interesting swap, but she handled it like the professional she is, and we get into talking about that and how that affected her mentally, physically, and how her day just kind of changed every day. And then, of course, we talk about how the PWHL Minnesota team did capture the championship, so there's a lot of talk about that as well. All that and more, of course. We talk with Lev about everything. It's something I forgot to bring up, and I hate that I'm going to bring this up again now because I know I've done it a million times. I would love to have gotten her take, and I'll have to text her, about how the PWHL still doesn't have team names. It's so weird to be like, yeah, congratulations to PWHL Minnesota. No, give me a freaking team name. Congratulations to the Minnesota Whitecaps. You know, it's so much easier. It rolls off the tongue when you have a team name. I hate it. In Utah, you're my number one enemy right now. Not the state, the hockey club. Come on. I don't care what anyone says. I know Aesthetics will tell you something differently. They had time. They've known for a while they were going to get the team here at least April for this season. They could have figured it out. They could have gotten team names figured out, jerseys figured out. Again, I know people will say it's not true, but come on. We've seen other teams do it all the time. What has changed in that time to where they couldn't have jerseys of a logo and have a mascot and whatever by October? I'm sorry, not buying it. No team's ever had this issue. All of a sudden, Utah does. I feel like PWHL set a very bad precedent, and for some reason, teams are following it now. Again, Utah following that. I don't like it. Let's make sure we have team names, people. It's really not that hard. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. First off, wanted to mention that this week, actually, we'll be doing a skate again with Bill Day. We're going to have some friends of the show come in. It's not going to be like a pickup like we had last time. We're actually just going to it's kind of more like a photo shoot. I don't even want to call it a photo shoot. We're going to rent out a rink, and we're actually going to be skating with a couple people that are listeners of the show, friends of the show, sponsors, and we're all going to take some shots on Bill. We're going to have some setup plays that we're going to do to kind of see how he reacts, and we'll share all that content with you in a couple weeks. We've got a couple guests lined up over the next couple weeks, but we will get that in, so I'm excited for that. We're doing that on Friday. So I am very excited to get back on the rink with Bill and do some really fun stuff. We're going to be doing some off the cuff and kind of scripted stuff too. So it'll be fun to kind of play with that on the rink because, when do we get to do that? Also, there's one thing to announce with the Blues, something that they released this week. The Blues social media team announced new player numbers for the upcoming season. That's right. That is our number one story. The Blues have announced new player numbers. Folks, it is end of July, early August. Just bear with me here. Alexander Texier will wear number 9. Radek Faksa will wear number 12. Ryan Suter, number 22. Pierre-Olivier Joseph will wear 77. And Matthew Joseph, who is the forward, he will wear 71. The Joseph brothers actually opted to not have their first initials on their jerseys. They'll both just have Joseph. So you'll see a Joseph 77 and a Joseph 71. I don't like that. I don't. I think if you have one of the brothers that is like super established, I think you can get away with that. Not here. I think of if Wayne and Brent Gretzky played on the same team. Yeah, you could get away with Gretzky 99 and Gretzky, whatever number he wore, 12. Eric and Brett Lindros. Eric is 88, Brett is 65, whatever. And I would even say Jamie and Jordy Ben. Jamie Ben, you just can tell the way he skates that's Jamie Ben. Jordy, not so much. So this feels odd to me because, and with their numbers being so close too, 77 and 71, I think you need to probably have initials on your jersey. Even in high def, I think it's going to be hard to tell which is which. Clearly, you can tell one's a defenseman, one's a forward, so that'll help determine which one's which. But if they're on the ice together, it just, I don't know. I just think it's confusing. It's going to be harder for the announcers. I think we're going to see a lot of times where the announcers of mostly probably the other teams, but even John Kelly and Chris Kerber might have some issues with, wait, that's 77, so that's P.O. Joseph. Just avoid it, make it easier on everyone. Have your initials on there, even just a P and an M. I don't like it. But either way, whatever. If that's what our biggest concern is right now, that means hockey's not going on. But, folks, we're getting there. We are getting there. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And as I said, we've got my favorite guest of all time, I think. There's some up there, but she's definitely in my top 3. I think she's probably number 1, but we'll see. Amanda Leveille joins the show. So as soon as we wrap up commercials here, you'll hear from her and I. You are listening to Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
As a hockey player, Mike Burgoyne knows a thing or two about making the perfect play. And when it comes to real estate, he's always ready to score the winning goal for his clients. If you're a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues Radio listener looking to score the home of your dreams, you'll receive special rates with Mike. Go ahead. Shoot some questions his way, and he'll have the answer quicker than Curtis Joseph on a breakaway.
Curtis Joseph got the pedal down!
Any barriers? Mike will mow them down like Chris Pronger in front of the net. He'll score you your dream home or sell your existing home faster than a Brett Hall one-timer.
Put past the Hall, he shoots, he scores!
See Burgoyne's real estate prowess in action today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or by calling 314-753-4060. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com, and that phone number is 314-753-4060. Getting Mike Burgoyne on your team will be the boost your power play needs.
Well, honey, I just priced the power washing for the house, and I think we should just move and condemn this place. It'll be cheaper.
Did you try Wolf Power Washing?
Who?
Oh, I just saw this guy win the Stanley Ponder Cup Memorial Tournament and thought he was attractive. So I looked him up on social media, and it turns out he's the owner and proprietor of Wolf Power Washing. He claims he has the best prices in town.
But does he use non-flammable, non-toxic chemicals that are safe for Woofy and our son, Little Magnus?
Yes, he ensures there'll be no residue left behind, and he doesn't use any volatile vapors.
Well, this fella sounds like a dream. I just wish I knew how to contact him.
Oh, I know how. You can reach him at 314-420-5434.
314-420-5434, and his name is Joe Wolf of Wolf Power Washing?
That's right.
But how did you know his number so quickly?
I'll never tell.
Wait, what?
That's Wolf Power Washing at 314-420-5434. And make sure to tell them Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
All right, we are back from break, and I am joined from a very good friend of the show, Miss Amanda Leveille. Amanda played for the PWHL Minnesota team this past year, unnamed team, of course, but is the all-time wins and shutout leader in the PHF, formerly the PHF, defunct league now, but one that we will always remember in our hearts. Amanda, thank you very much for coming on the show again today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to being back.
Yes. Yeah. We all love you. We love having you on Let's Go Blues Radio, even though you're a Minnesota person and everyone in St. Louis hockey hates Minnesota hockey. But for some reason, you've worked your way into our hearts.
Can I ask why you guys hate Minnesota hockey?
We hate the Wild is what it is.
Oh.
It goes back to the days of the North Stars, too. That were always a big rival for the Blues. And just lately, the Blues and Wild have had some good playoff matchups. And fans have kind of been in each other's necks. So I talk to people now and I ask them who your least favorite team is. Some people still are saying the Wild, which honestly surprises me because for me, it's always the Blackhawks. I don't care how bad they are. It's always the Blackhawks.
Yeah, or the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes.
One of those two.
Well, we can't, and that's the weird thing for St. Louis now is, a lot of people I know here love to root against Toronto, just like the rest of the league, because it's fun to see them implode in the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
But now they just hired former Blues coach and Stanley Cup winner Craig Berube. So we're like, oh, do we root for Toronto now because we like that guy? Or do we keep saying, yeah, let's see you implode in the first round? So it's an interesting spot to be in for a Blues fan.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But always vote against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think that's always a good way to look at it.
Yep. Well, you're a Habs fan, so you really
way.
have to say that.
Exactly.
So they had it's another Blues tie in there. They had Jake Allen for a couple of years until he got moved to New Jersey. What did you think of his play when he played with Montreal there for a couple seasons?
I think Montreal's had a tough run the past few years, and I don't think that's a reflection of any of the goaltenders that have been there. Since Carey Price has been gone, that's a huge shoes to fill, and unfortunately, there's only so many people that can play at the caliber of Carey Price. So I think no matter who goes to Montreal, unless they clean up a lot of things in front of the goalie, it's going to be a tough go for them.
Yeah, they've got a couple guys that are coming up now that I think will be really helpful. Slavkovsky's, he's just getting into he's not in his prime yet, but he's getting there. And there's plenty of other draft picks coming through. Better times are ahead for Montreal, but man, I'll admit I was rooting for them like crazy when they went to the Stanley Cup final a couple years ago. Shea Weber was I'm a big fan of his, and it just seemed like that dude had whatever he had left in the tank, he was gonna pour it all out in that cup run. And I think Carey Price probably did the same thing.
Was that really a couple of years ago? I feel like that was like
2021, was it? Or
was
2020?
It?
Yeah, it feels like it was a long time ago, right?
Okay, yeah. I was thinking that happened like 10 years ago. Or like even more than that. Okay.
It was it the COVID? It was the COVID year, wasn't it? Or was it? No, that was Dallas. Dallas and Tampa was 2020. 2021 was Tampa and Montreal. So, yeah, it was only 3 years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, time. I've said this a million times now. COVID has ruined time.
Yes.
I will think of something that happened in like 2019 and I'll be like, oh yeah, 20 years ago when that happened. Jeff, that happened in 2019. No, it didn't.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That COVID year was so long, and
yep,
it was.
So again, you were with the PHF Minnesota Whitecaps for a while. Obviously, Buffalo Buttes as well, but you moved on to the PWHL this past year. But the big news coming out from you is you have actually just announced your retirement. So you are now officially retired from pro hockey. I wanted to ask you. What was the reasoning for this? And do you feel like you went out on your own terms?
So I've had a long time to process this. About three seasons ago, my husband and I discussed me being done and transitioning more into full-time coaching and doing less playing, and being around the house a little bit more. And that same season that we decided I'd probably be done, I broke my clavicle midway through the season and I was put on the sidelines and just devastated. There's something tough about being injured, but there's also something tough about just watching your teammates be able to play and you're on the sidelines. And that desire to continue playing was just so high. And ultimately we decided I would go for another run, so I re-signed to play the following season, anticipating that I wasn't even going to be coming back. And then same thing happened at around the exact same time, broke my clavicle. I'm sitting on the sidelines and I'm like, I'm going to end my career just watching everybody else play. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this one more year. And then the PHF folded. There was a bunch of stuff that happened. And I honestly wasn't even thinking about playing in the PWHL until I played in the Beauty League game. What was it, like a couple months before the draft happened? And I just had so much fun with old teammates. A lot of them actually ended up on PWHL Minnesota. And again, I got that same feeling of, oh, I really want to be continuing playing. So I filled out a waiver, it got approved, and then there I was back playing one more season. And this season wasn't the easiest for me, and in one sense I'm grateful for it because it gave me a ton of time to just process and recognize that I'm going to be done playing hockey and learn how to like be myself without that hockey piece, as it's been such a big part of my identity for as long as I can remember. So I just had a ton of time to process it, and the desire to get back onto the ice and to continue play stopped completely this season. And when you know, you know, and I knew it was time to step away and do something else, spend more time doing things that I really want to do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I completely respect that. Now, I did tell you before the we started recording here that I had a clip that I wanted to play for you of you playing. That was a lie. I actually have something else that I want to play for you. A couple friends of yours wanted to wish you a congratulations. So I am going to play that for you right now. And here we go.
There's a chance for Wisconsin, 2-on-1, moving in and taking a shot was Bailey Wellhausen. Oh, the puck comes back out front of the Minnesota net, and Leveille makes an incredible stop for the Golden Gophers.
Unbelievable that she was able to get to the other side of the net.
Lev, just want to say congrats on an amazing career. It was such an honor to play with you. You made every single day at the rink worthwhile. I can tell you one thing for sure, I did not like playing against you, but I'm so excited for this chapter of your life and everything that comes after retirement. You are one of the best goalies I've ever played with and against, and it's been such a blast being part of your journey. So best of luck in the future and congrats on everything you accomplished.
There's an opportunity in front, blocked away, second chance denied, third chance. Leveille with a couple of great stops in a row as Taylor Woods tried her very, very best.
Watch her head. She's looking to pass here and then rips a shot instead. I always respect the shot on the odd rush like that.
Hi, Lev. This is Mike Murphy from the Ice Garden. I wanted to congratulate you on an unbelievable playing career. I work really hard not to become a fan of players that I cover, but in my opinion, that was pretty much impossible with you. The way you conduct yourself, how you work through injuries, your professionalism, your kindness to fans, to the media, is just as impressive as all the unbelievable saves and all the stats over the years and everything you've achieved. Wishing you nothing but the best. I know your hockey journey will continue in some way, and the sport will be better for it. Congratulations on everything. Great career. Bye.
Hey, Lev. congrats on your amazing career. It was a pleasure to play against you and with you. I preferred playing with you though. But welcome to retirement. It's a great time, and congrats again.
What is the worst goal you feel like you have ever given up in your career?
Oh, I gotta pick just one. There's so many.
Hey, Lev. I just wanted to say congratulations on such an unbelievable career, from the PHF to the PWHL to your college days. Just an unbelievable career. The accolades, the stats don't even speak to the type of person you are. Your grace, your humility when talking about your game is what always caught me off guard whenever I would talk to you on the show. I started watching you play and just was amazed at your athleticism, your desire to never give up on a play. Just always blew me away. And I'll admit, you really kickstarted my love for women's hockey. I've always kind of watched in the background, but I became an actual fan, I think, because I talked to you, and you just really made me understand the game and just love it all over again. With the way that you were able to explain the game and even your own game. So you have so much knowledge about the game and the goalie position, and I hope you continue to coach North America's youth. We're all better for it. The game is better for it. So hopefully you stick around. I wish you nothing but the best. And remember, we're always rooting for you. Let's Go Blues Radio.
Now on the far side, shot, and that one denied on the follow, nearly getting there.
Hey, Lev. Just wanted to say congrats on a great career. Thanks for being an awesome friend, an awesome quote as well. Wishing you all the best in the next chapter of your life. Sad to see that you're not going to be playing anymore, but happy for you to move on into the next chapter of your life, which I'm sure will be just as successful as the previous chapter. No pressure. But seriously, thanks for everything, and most importantly, thanks for being a friend. You and your family, you know this, mean the world to me, and I'm so glad that we crossed paths. Hopefully you have a great next step in your career. So good luck with everything. Can't wait to see you again, hopefully soon.
Here's a miscue. Opportunity for Toronto, and it's blocked away. Leveille with the stop.
Hey Lev, just wanted to say congrats on a great career. Couldn't have asked for a better attendee partner for my last handful of years playing. Here's to a great future and a lot more coaching together.
Well, there you go. So that was my little surprise for you. Hope I didn't make you too emotional.
No, that was awesome. Thanks for doing all that work, and to everyone who submitted a video for you. Thank you. That was very, very nice. It was very cool to look back, and a lot of good memories popped in my head listening to those guys speak. So thank you. That was a really, really nice video.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad. No, and a big shout out goes to my friend Dan Rice. Again, the reason you and I met is through Dan. He was the one who actually really kind of orchestrated it. I just told him my idea. I said, hey, I'd love to do something for Lev on when she comes on. And he said, let me get you Allie and Audra. And I'm like, yes. So thank you big time to everybody in the video, but especially Dan for really helping me with that. But yeah, it's one of those things, Lev, where seriously, and I know Dan, he kind of mentioned this. When he asked people to do it, it was instantly, yes, let me send a video over to Jeff. So, everyone loves you, and we're all happy for you to move on to the next step in your career. So let's talk about that retirement a little bit more. So again, you mentioned the injuries, the things that caused you to kind of move on. So you said you kind of went out on your own terms. You said you're still going to coach. Do you have big plans for coaching, or is it just kind of right now you're going to stick with, and please mention to our listeners who you're coaching for. Are you going to stick with that, or is there something kind of bigger that you're kind of eyeing and looking towards?
Yeah, so I've been pretty blessed that the last 6 years of my professional career, I've also been able to develop my coaching career alongside of it. And I've met so many people that have come either to Whitecaps games or PWHL games and then ended up getting onto the ice with them through that connection. I was working full time while playing for the Whitecaps and this season for playing for PWHL Minnesota. So my days sometimes were like 17-hour long days and they were tough. But I do a ton of coaching for a company called OS Hockey. I'm their goaltender director, and we're actually right in the middle of our summer training programs. Right now, we have, I think, probably about 130 to 140 female goaltenders in that program alone, just in the summer. And then I work with a ton of associations throughout the season, and that includes both girls and boys. And I'm going to continue doing that. And then another aspect that I've started to trickle into as well is doing private lessons. And I haven't had a ton of time to do a ton of those just because of the travel commitments and being away on the weekends or during the week this season with PWHL Minnesota. So I'm really looking forward to having a lot more time in my day where I'll have more availability and to be able to reach all the goaltenders that have either reached out to me trying to do private lessons where I haven't been able to get them in. So I'm not super transitioning into coaching full time. I've kind of already been doing it. I'm just going to have a lot more free time to do more coaching or more time to do other things and pursue other interests.
Yeah, that's and hey, think about it this way too. October, November, December hits, and you're not going to have to go to practice every day for yourself. You're not going to have to travel for games anymore. There's a thing called free time, Lev. I don't know if you ever heard of it. You might actually get some of that now.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that. My husband has been amazingly patient with me, and he's allowed me to pursue my professional career, and he's always been supportive behind the scenes. And we're both looking forward to having a lot more time to go travel. We both enjoy traveling and seeing new things and experiencing new cultures. So we're both definitely going to have a lot more time to experience those things together. And I'm really looking forward to not being so tired all the time. It's that's the coaching life in general, is getting up early and getting ice when you can. So being on the ice at 6 a.m. So typically I'd be on the ice 6 a.m. to 8 or 6 a.m. to 9, and then I'd go straight over to PWHL Minnesota. And depending on the day, I could be there anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours. And by the time I was done that, it was right away I was going to the next rink to do high school practices and then youth association practices, and then coming back home and being so tired, I'd just go to bed and the day would kind of repeat itself. So I'm looking forward to having a lot more time to do other things and to not be as tired as I have been.
Life not wearing skates for 15 hours a day is pretty nice. So I'll tell you,
Yeah.
your feet are gonna love you.
I think so.
Yeah, that's well, that's great. Yeah. So is the plan for you and your husband to stay in Minnesota, or are you guys kind of open to looking around and see if there's another place to live?
I think we both really like Minnesota, and we're both pretty established in our work careers. That we want to stay, and we just recently bought a house. Either I think probably we're on 2 years, it might even be 3 years of having it. We've done a ton of reconstruction in it, and we're finally getting it to the place that we like it. So we're not thinking now that we finally got the house the way we want to move somewhere else. But we definitely are interested in traveling and experiencing new cultures. Last year, we went over to Europe for, I think, 2.5 weeks. And that was our first trip that we've gone on together in, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 years. So
Wow.
we definitely want to do more of that. But we're pretty happy in Minnesota, and we won't be going anywhere anytime soon.
Not saying that St. Louis is a destination that you want to go to, but if you come through St. Louis or you do want to come see our wonderful arch and drink our wonderful beer, please let me know. Love to meet up with you and your husband. Because yeah, it's an exciting time. Again, like I know that there's a part of you clearly that's going to miss playing professional hockey, going to practice, learning the game from other coaches. But man, getting that time, and I'm with you. I'm a travel person. I want to travel as much as possible. So having that freedom now to do that is can't even put into words how awesome it is. So, glad that you'll be able to do that because it's tough when you got those crazy schedules. And for me, I used to freelance and contract, so I'd have 5 or 6 jobs at a time, and it's like you can't get away from that. And it's kind of similar to you. It's really hard to be like, okay, 2 weeks, I need to get away and I need to put all my stuff on hold. It's hard to do. Now you might actually have the freedom to do it.
Yeah, and the time constraints too with when you're playing professional hockey, there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done on your body, and you need to make sure that you're eating well and that you're sleeping well and that you're doing the exercises that are going to prevent you from getting injured. And when you don't have to do that anymore, it's a little bit easier when you go on vacation to be like, okay, I'm just going to enjoy all this food here. I'm not going to have to worry about working out while I'm on vacation. So there's that freedom as well, where you can just kind of relax and know that you don't have to worry so much about the physical aspects of your body and being able to return to the rink after going on trips like that.
You can let yourself get fat.
There you go.
No, I make jokes. Keith Kachuk is a guy that people laugh at because but it's like you think about it. You mentioned it, the crazy dieting that you have to do. The I can't go to McDonald's tonight because I've got hockey tomorrow and forever, and I shouldn't drink that extra beer. Like it's ridiculous. And to see a guy like Keith Kachuk down here in St. Louis, people made a lot of fun of him for putting on a ton of weight after he retired, but it's like, think about it. He's finally got the freedom to eat what he wants, to again, have that extra beer, to skip the treadmill today. Like that is something that professional athletes, and I think a lot of people who don't play professionally or even in the lower ranks don't understand that freedom just isn't there. But now you get it. And so if you got fat, I wouldn't judge you.
That would be nice. I could probably put on a few more pounds, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Cool. Well, okay. So again, Leveille, you are retiring, which is unfortunate for the fans, but good for you. You did spend 1 year in the PHF, and I'm sorry, the PWHL, and I did want to ask you because it was and for those that followed you, and we talked to you last year, and at the time we had talked, the plan was still going back to PHF, playing for the Minnesota Whitecaps, being their starting goalie. But then obviously things change. The PWHL comes into existence. You get drafted. Each team, I believe, carried 4 goalies, right? Is that correct? All 6 teams?
I think there was 2 teams that carried for us and Ottawa. And
Okay.
then the majority, I think the rest had 3 goaltenders.
3. Okay. Well, still, so each team basically has a battle, right? For even the starting job, maybe the second job. There's at least a battle for that. So, you get drafted, you're thinking, okay, Nicole Hensley, let's face it, one of the best goaltenders in the world. Good chance you'll be a good backup. So you battle for that. Doesn't work out in that way, but you still get to play, still on the team, still around the team. And just a whirlwind, really, in the last year for you and everyone who played in the PWHL. What was it like for you to go from being that starting go-to goalie? I mean, literally playing in the last game of in PHF history to now you're in the PWHL and you're battling for a spot, your third string, fourth string goalie, whatever you want to call it. What was your mindset like through all that?
It definitely was a roller coaster of events. I mentioned earlier that I was going to retire 3 seasons ago. So there was that aspect when the league folded of me not even trying or entering the draft. And then in my situation, I'm pretty unique in the sense that I'm waiting to get citizenship to become an American. And when you are in that process, there's a lot of rules that you have to follow, specifically on where you live and how you live. And in my case, I didn't really have the option to move anywhere else or to play for any other team without it coming at the cost of citizenship for me. So I wasn't willing to pay that price. So when they announced that the league had folded, I actually accepted that I probably had played my last game And then when there was a lot of talks before about whether or not they were going to have a team in Minnesota. And when they did, that was an opportunity. And I filled out the waiver and I got on. It was approved. And then I got drafted. And even at that point, I still didn't know what was going to happen throughout it, and get to training camp. And from my perspective, and it's only my perspective, I think it was pretty obvious that the coaching staff and everybody that was involved in that had already placed Maddie as the second string. And it's hard to be in that position. And especially since my history wasn't aiding me in this sense, as I hadn't really experienced being in the third position before. And I've seen other goalies be in it, and they've always had really good attitudes from what I've seen. But it's really tough to go to the rink every day and give everything that you have, and to try to do everything that you can to be given an opportunity, and just day in and day out that doesn't happen. There's a huge mental battle, I think, no matter what position you're in, whether you're the starting goaltender, you're going to have different mental battles that you're going to have to go through, and whether or not you're the third, that it's also different. I think it's easier to be a starter because when things go wrong in practice, just for an example, that you have so many people there supporting you and being like, oh, you're fine, you're great, and you get so many extra opportunities to do well. It's not just like if you mess up one time, that's like you're done. Whereas when you get put into a third string position, if you're not doing well in practice, it's really mentally frustrating and difficult, because you also feel like you're jeopardizing your ability to even get an opportunity. And there's not a ton of rewards to showing up to the rink every day and not getting into the lineup. And just to give an example, the PWHL went on a break for I think the Four Nations or whatever that was. It was about a month where people were just practicing. And I remember sitting at a table and I was eating lunch, and somebody was like, oh, this sucks so much, just practicing and never playing. And like, I remember being like, wow, yeah,
Welcome to my life.
Yeah. But like a lot of people, they don't really understand that unless they've been in that situation. I'm not mad at that person at all, but it just sheds light into what it really feels like to be in a role like that. And unless you've been in it, you can't understand it at all. I thought that when I was a backup, I understood what it would feel like to be a third string, and it wasn't even close. It's really difficult, and it's tough to keep showing up knowing that you're probably not going to be able to do anything to get an opportunity, and to continue to show up is pretty tough.
So as a third string and fourth string goalie, did you still have to travel with the team when they were going to New York and Toronto and all the other cities?
Yeah.
Man.
So I was the third goalie and Lauren Bench was the fourth goalie. And as the fourth goalie, she was a reserve. So she didn't travel with the team, but I would travel with the team. And there were a few instances where we would go on the road and there wouldn't be any pregame skate or anything like that. So I would just travel and watch the team. And as much fun as it is to watch your team succeed and do well, there's a part of you that wants to feel like you're part of the team. And while you know you're part of the team, it doesn't always feel like it. So it's difficult to go on those trips and to just watch weekend after weekend after weekend. But I will say there are a lot of trips where I got to see former teammates, or I got to see my parents when I went to Montreal and Toronto. So in that aspect, it was nice to see people. And then the players that didn't always get a ton of opportunities on PWHL Minnesota were really tight and very supportive of each other. And it's nice to have somebody else who knows what you're going through, as your role isn't to be anything but happy and supportive. So a lot of times you have to hide that when you're at the rink, and those emotions come out in other places. But when you have players that understand what you're feeling and dealing with, you can have that moment where you can just relax and you can actually express the emotions that you're feeling. And I'm really grateful for the teammates that I had that allowed me do that. It's not good to hold in those emotions all the time. They come out some way, one way or another. So to invest them into something more beneficial than put yourself at a disadvantage, I think is important.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a life lesson in general, because I know for me, it's, I watched my dad don't get me wrong, he was a fantastic father, but he was a guy that the big things he would just brush off and say, no, no, no big deal. But then the little things he'd blow up because he was holding everything in. So to be able to have that ability to be able to talk to people and talk to, I mean, I'm sure your husband is involved in that and the rest of your family as well, but to have the teammates that you can talk to and help you through those situations is a game changer, because without that, again, it's going to come out in bad, wrong ways. And for the fact that you were able to navigate through that with help from others is it's just, you can't even put into words how important that is.
And I'm really, really grateful for all of that, the support that I got from my teammates, my husband, and my family, as they all knew how much it meant to me to play, and they knew my history and how I wasn't going to play, and then also even one thing that I found that helped me a lot is I, as we've mentioned before, I do coach full time, so having that ability to experience this role is going to allow me to be a better coach for not only starters but also people that are in the third role uh in the third role position, because it is so different in the mental approach that you need to have, and to understand that when you're in that role, you just want to feel like you're part of the team. And even a coach just going up and talking to you for 5 minutes can change the outcome of the whole day, because you have that, you feel like you're valued and you're wanted there for a reason. And this season, I had good coaches that helped me with that. And one of the teams that I coached had a goaltender that was consistently the third one, didn't get to play in any of the varsity games. She was always playing JV. And I recognized that I only went to the varsity games. I was never going to the JV games. So I never got to see this goalie play. And I was like, oh, I think I can understand how that feels. So I went and watched her play in a JV game, and I saw how much she lit up. And I know now how important that is to make sure that, even we obviously want the starting goaltender and the backups to get the reps that they need, but to make sure that that third goaltender also feels like they are valued, and the coach is there to help them develop and get better. So I'm grateful for this season that I got to experience that, because I know I'll be a better coach in the future because of it.
So, when it came to being the third goalie, and whether it's at home or away, I know that in the NHL and AHL and other leagues, a lot of coaches say to the reserves, the scratched players, that, hey, game day, we don't want you around because we don't want that distraction. Was it the same for you with PWHL Minnesota?
It was, and that was a tough one. And every coach is responsible for their own team, and they have the reins to run it however they want. And in our case, Ken didn't want the reserves or the scratches to be around the team, as it was a distraction, or could be a distraction. So uh, we kind of developed our own pre-game routine to help. Everybody that's in sports typically has some sort of routine before they go to the rink, and we were really missing that aspect, as we didn't get to be part of any of the pre-game meetings or anything on that aspect. So we used to meet together, and at the XL they have this really big ice cream bar and a ton of food. So we actually used to meet about 30 minutes before puck drop, and go down there, and we'd make predictions of what the score was going to be, who was going to score. And it helped us to feel like had some sort of routine, and like we were contributing in some way, even though realistically we weren't. But it still allowed us to feel like we were a part of the team.
That's good. That's definitely good to have that camaraderie. Again, you're on the sidelines watching a lot of the games, not dressed out, sitting on the bench. But we mentioned them already, but Nicole Hensley, Maddie Rooney were the go-to goalies for PWHL Minnesota this year. What was your relationship like with them?
Well, I had never met Maddie before, but I knew Nick from playing against her, and I actually attended a camp with her. The Goalie Guild hosted a camp back before COVID, and I met her there. And I've always admired the way that she plays. And the first time I ever saw her play, I was playing for the Whitecaps, and we played her at the Harbor Center in Buffalo, and she right away. I remember talking to Lee Seckline after the game and just being like, that's the best goalie I've ever seen play in my life. She just, the fundamentals were there, the athleticism was there, the ability to read the play was there. She was a complete package. And from that moment on, I really enjoyed watching her when she played for Team USA, or if I would tune in to Buffalo Buttes games, it was awesome to be able to watch her play because I learned so much from her style. And then Maddie, I'd never met before, but met her. I skated with her one time before PWHL training camp started, and both of them were extremely friendly to me. And I think it's important that you have goalie partners that get along. Obviously, you're in a competitive relationship where you're pushing each other to be the best that you can be so that you can get starting minutes. But every team is going to have a role, and it's up to the individuals to fill that role to the best of their abilities. And I tried to be as supportive as I could be to them, and I know they were really extremely supportive to me and always fist bumping me and asking me how I was. And I really appreciate that. And Lauren as well, she's one of the best teammates I think I've ever had, just always in a good mood at the rink, super supportive and chatty with anyone and everyone. And I'm super blessed that I had those three goalie partners in my final season.
You say the goalie camaraderie, the goalies, having a good relationship. I think we're all, and it's funny because people here in St. Louis, again, well, pretty much anyone outside of Boston hates the Boston Bruins, right? But I loved what their goalies did. The Linus Olmark and Jeremy Swayman, they did that crazy thing. They go down and come up after a win. I loved that, and we're not going to see it anymore, unfortunately. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's so cool when you see two goalies get along. Here in St. Louis, we're seeing it with Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer. They you can tell they always have each other's backs. It's so important. But it's interesting to me with the two teams in the PWHL that had four goalies, because you basically got, I mean, almost a line of goaltenders. It's amazing, and I'm sure that guys, you all four were just probably pumping each other up all the time.
Yeah, it was. So the way that we ran practices was Maddie and Nick would go down to one end and they would rotate over there, and Lauren and I would rotate on one end. So we didn't see each other a ton during practice, but Lauren and I did. And it's always nice when you have more than two goalies on the ice, in the aspect that you can follow out your rebounds and you can go 110% the whole time, because you don't have to worry about being exhausted and not having a goalie to be able to come into the net. And I think limiting some of your reps at time is beneficial for injury prevention. So I think having four goaltenders, I didn't know how it was going to go when I first learned that there was going to be four goalies. I thought this might be a little overcrowded, but I ended up really enjoying it. And I think it was really beneficial for all parties that were involved, especially because we all got along pretty well.
Well, I'll say that there were some people that, people listen to our show are already rooting for PWHL Minnesota because they know you. And, obviously you've been a big part of our show over the summers. But I don't know, I'm not sure if you're aware, Nicole Hensley actually does have some St. Louis connections, former Lindenwood University goalie.
Yeah.
And I just happened to catch one of their games. I was at a rink, and then I looked up and I was like, oh, Lindenwood's playing in 30 minutes. I should go to that. And I remember going and watching her play and just being amazed and being like, she's going places. Like, she's going to be in Team USA. And she clearly was. Athleticism just off the charts. One of the best goalies, and I'm talking male and female, in the world. So for you, obviously, your colleagues, your teammates, but being able to see what she can do in net. And obviously Maddie Rooney had a great year as well. What was it like watching them play every day?
It was really fun especially to watch Nick, just because her style is very like what you would call picture perfect for a goalie. It's what, when any goalie coach is coaching someone, they want the goalie that's able to be technical but also athletic. And Nick just embodies all of those qualities, and she's super consistent in what she does. The way that she approaches a practice or a game is very similar. She always gets out there and does some C cuts to start, and then she does these very, very technical movements. And you can see the attention to detail in everything that she does. They're not super crazy hard patterns, they're just very basic patterns, the stuff that we do consistently as goalies. But a lot of us, we try to get ahead of ourselves and we do a lot of extra movement and chaotic stuff. She was just right down to the basics and the fundamentals, and it showed in her game. She rarely gave up any bad goals. She was consistently in the right spot. And one of the things I admired the most about her is if she gave up a goal early, it didn't bother her. Like maybe it did, but she didn't display it in the way that she played. She didn't change the way that she played. She'd get scored on and then it would go right back and reset. And I think that's something that a lot of goalies should watch and a quality that everybody wants to have. And then Maddie, on the other hand, is a very athletic and plays very different than Nick. So it's interesting to be able to watch those two styles and see what style works best against what team. And I think some of that came out to play in the playoffs. Nick didn't have the best series against Toronto, and Maddie came in and was just shut down there. And then it kind of flipped in Boston. Maddie didn't have the best game, and then Nick just came in and just stole the show. And I think having two goalies that have different styles like that can be really beneficial depending on the team that you're playing. And it was cool to be able to witness them not only in practice but also in a game. One thing I will say about Maddie is her puck handling skills are off the chart. She's probably one of the best goaltenders I've ever seen handle the puck. She's so smart with it. And then in practice, I swear nothing would ever hit her pad. She'd always get her stick on it. And that's, again, a quality that every goalie wants to have. The less rebounds you give up, the harder it's going to be for people to score. And she was one of the best goalies that I've seen with her stick skills.
Well, I'll tell you, as somebody who shoots on goalies, when there is a early goal on a goalie, the way that you can always tell if it's going to affect them or not is the head goes straight up.
Yeah.
So you can teach your other goalies that when you have that tell, it's like, okay, all pucks on net, guys, skate it to the blue line and shoot. And so, yeah, and I'll agree with you. You know, you would see a goal go in on Hensley, you know, early in the game, maybe it was back to business right away. And I'll say, same with you. I remember watching a game in the PHF where you gave up a goal in the first probably 4 or 5 minutes. It was a good goal, but still, it's demoralizing to the whole team when a goal goes in that early. And I remember just seeing you get back up on your skates, you just kind of look around. I think one of your teammates skated over and tapped you on the pad, and it's like that's what you want to see in your goaltender. And a lot of times we already mentioned Jake Allen. That was what I always felt like was his biggest problem was he would give up a goal early and his head would just be up in the ceiling. And it's Jake, you're showing everyone that you're upset. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, as a goalie, you're in a position of influence, not only for your own team, but the other team. So your team sees your head go back. Now they're most likely going to change the way that they're playing because they're nervous for you. They think that you're not completely focused or you're upset, and that changes how they're going to act on the ice. And then the other team too, they see a goalie throw their head back. They're like, oh yeah, we're in their head. Like, we need to turn it on right now. We need to go. So it's important to try to corral those emotions and let them out in the appropriate time, not right after a goal when all eyes are pretty much on you, seeing how you react to it.
So I did want to ask you again, talking about PWHL Minnesota. They are the champions of this year. So obviously, you know, you got your moment with, you know, the team and celebrating, and you know, you were a part of it because you know you're around the team all the time. So it's still a big deal to you. But clearly, you've won the PHF championship as well, two times. Plus you won with in college, you won a couple times as well. So clearly, you know, you've won, but how was this different for you? Again, not being the goalie on the ice when the final buzzer goes. What was that like for you?
So, well, there's two emotions that I felt. Obviously, I was very excited for everyone else. And I think it's human nature. I was a little bit sad for myself and the fact that I didn't get to be a part of any on ice game or anything like that. But the first time we won the Walter Cup was kind of a false alarm. And I remember like we're watching, we all have our gear on, the players that weren't playing. We're watching the TV, and then I think it was Sophie Jake scores, and just the room erupts. We're all super excited. We sprint out onto the ice to get to be with our team, and then suddenly the goal gets called back, which was that was almost like a walk of shame as we're going off the ice, and then going back into the dressing room, and then going back to Boston when Kendall Coyne scored I think the third goal to make it 3-0. We knew that that was probably going to be the end and we were going to win. So hopping back onto the ice the second time, it definitely was a different feeling from the first time. The first time was a ton of excitement. It's at home, like, wow, that just happened. It was an overtime. This is really cool. And then the second time it was like, okay, here we are again. It was fun to see how many people were really excited about it. There was a few people that were crying on the ice, and there's nothing better than like watching your teammates celebrate and being happy for them. So it was a lot of emotions all wrapped up into one. And then there was also, I don't know if this is bad to say or not, but there was also the, like, for the players that didn't play, it was like, we made it, we're here. Like, this was a really difficult season, and I can't think of a better way for it to end than celebrating with your teammates. So I think there's a lot of emotions, mostly good, some a little bit bittersweet, but overall it just was a lot of fun to be a part of that celebration 2 times for
2 times,
the Walter Cup.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember 1999, Brett Hall's goal with the Stars against the Sabres when his foot was in the crease, and that was the rule that 1 year, if you're in the crease at all, no goal, and that one counted. And I remember watching it live and seeing people like, I think even Gary Thorne, the announcer, was like, that probably shouldn't have been a goal. But you've already got the confetti coming down.
Oh,
You've got all the
no.
players on the ice. Their families are on the ice. You're really going to call a goal back now. So, yeah, it's funny to see it now because now the replay is so much better and it's so much quicker that it's like, whoop, 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 hold up. That's not a goal. But, like, I'm sure that your whole team and your coaching staff is all like, oh, come on. Like, talk about a demoralizing moment. You think you just won the whole championship, and all of a sudden it's stripped away from you like that.
Yeah, that was really tough. And we all went back into the room, and we had that feeling, not a good feeling of like, Boston's probably going to score. And then I think they scored within a minute after that and ended up winning it. And we were pretty bummed in the room after that, but it happens. And the team was able to regroup and come back and played probably the best hockey game they had all season. I can't remember what the shots were, but I think they were somewhere like 45-12 or something insane. Erin Frankel played incredible in that game, and if it wasn't for her, I think the score could have been pushing 6 or 7 goals.
Yep, definitely. So again, you're going out as a champion. That's exciting. And you're calling it a career professionally. Will we see you in beer league in Minnesota at some point?
Well, actually, yesterday we had our OS goalie player game. So all of the goalie staff actually put on player gear and play player against. Last year we played against last year we played against a beer league team. This year we played against the player staff, and they just went all out. So they were creaming us. Nikki Nightingale actually played goalie for us, and she was insane. She was the #1 star. She played super, super well. But I think so. I want to stay playing in some aspects, whether that's as a player, as a goalie. I think you just learn so much from being on the ice and experiencing how the game is being played, which will help me as I'm coaching. And then I also don't think I'm quite ready to give up that friendship that you have being around the rink. I've always said it, but I love hockey, but my favorite part of it is just sharing it with other people. So I definitely want in some capacity to stay within a team setting so that I can continue to have teammates and play the game with them.
I just and this is, I've played since, I was 8 years old. Clearly never good to make it in the professional ranks, but I can't imagine my life without playing hockey. I had a situation this past year. Listeners of the show know about it, where I had a strange foot issue, and I just could not put on skates. It was awful. I was out for 6 months, and the whole time I could. And I know we've talked about it with your injuries. In my mind, I'm like, is this it? Am I done? What am I gonna do? Like, to get that excitement and that love for the game, where am I gonna get that elsewhere? And
Mm-hmm.
luckily things changed. I'm back on the ice now. Everything's fine. But it's just like, I'm with you. I can't imagine life as a just going through life without being able to hit the hockey rink every now and then. So I totally get where you're coming from. It's hard to imagine life without being able to step on the rink and just feel that and hear the sounds of your skates hitting the ice. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just such an important part of my life. And I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah, exactly. And even yesterday playing in the game as a player, it's so fun to be on the bench with your teammates and to just like be fist bumping each other and cheering a fellow goalie who just scored a goal. That aspect is what I like the most about playing. So I'm definitely going to stay in some capacity with that. And I have a lot of former Whitecaps teammates that are play WHAM, which is beer league for women, and I think I'll probably make my way into there at some point.
Wham! I have not heard that before. Is that an acronym?
It probably is. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe women's hockey,
Women's
women's
hockey.
hockey association Minnesota,
There you
potentially.
go.
I don't
That's
know if
that's got to
that's
be it.
it's.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, it might be.
That's awesome. So what position did you play the other day?
Oh, I don't even know if we had positions. We didn't know where we were supposed to go. We'd start on or I'd start on forward or defense, and then somehow I'd end up being playing forward because back checking is terrible. Like kudos to everybody who did it on teams that I played for, but that has got to be the worst thing ever is trying to catch up to the other players, especially they were so fast. They didn't take it easy on us, but I think I like forward a lot better. This is kind of embarrassing to say, but I couldn't even skate backwards. Like there's something about it that I'd just go backwards and people would just blow right by me. So I think my role, if I'm going to be a player, will be to go forward and not back check. Just be one of those cherry pickers.
Basically you are going to, you're going to be a cherry picker.
Yeah.
You are going to stand at the other team's blue line and just wait for a pass.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That is a good role for me. So if anybody needs a player to do that on their team, call me up. I'm ready.
That is every beer league forward I've ever played with. So
okay,
I think there's an abundance of that.
Oh, okay.
So if you were to talk about one aspect of your game playing out that's good, what would you say it is? Are you a good puck handler?
Not a very good skater, I'll say that. I think I fell like 8 times. I've been told that my hands are okay. I think it's more that I'm so confusing in what I look like I'm trying to do because I don't necessarily know what I'm doing, that it just confuses other people. So I think I might have that going for me. The helmet that I was wearing was really big, so I kept going over my eyes, so I couldn't really see very much. And I have to admit that, like, playing player, your back hurts so bad. Just as a goalie, you don't want to have your chest leaning down. That's like a very bad thing. You make yourself small, but as a player, I think you're a little bit more upright. So a lot of us are pretty sore from that from yesterday.
I will tell you, if I don't know if you do gym workouts, but do not do back day the day before you play hockey. If you play out, because I've made that mistake too many times. I wake up the morning of hockey and I'm like, oh, yesterday was back day. What was I thinking? And then all of a sudden I am in horrible pain the next morning. So yeah, keep that as a nice little tip under your cap for when you play out.
Will do. Noted.
Lev, always a good time talking to you. Even though you're retired, I hope you will still come on Let's Go Blues Radio. Like I said, there's a thing called free time now. So maybe we can actually get you on during the season. We can talk about what's going on in the PWHL. If you're watching the Canadiens, maybe we can talk about that. We love having you on. So so happy for you to be able to move into the next step of your career, and wish you nothing but the best going forward. And yeah, like I said, now there's more time to do some more fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for having me on today, and then in the past as well. It's always been a pleasure to speak with you, and you got a really great podcast. So I'm grateful you allow me to come on and to talk with you.
Coming from you, that means a lot. So I really appreciate that. Amanda Leveille, now former professional hockey goalie. Thank you very much for coming on. And hey, beer league wham extraordinaire, right?
Don't know about that.
All right. Thanks, love.
Thank you.
Well, again, want to thank Lev. And again, as I said to her, let's expect her back sooner, right? Let's get her on during the season, talking some hockey, maybe breaking down some plays. Maybe she can join Bill for a save of the week when we bring that back. So looking forward to having Lev on maybe a little bit more frequently, as much as we can. And again, huge congratulations to her for such an awesome career. I'm glad she was able to kind of go out on her own and get the year in the PWHL just to kind of experience that. But yeah, good for her. And again, glad she's going to continue coaching, because our youth will benefit from her coaching. Next week, I am still working on that. There's some kind of crazy beer league news right now regarding our friend Kane Van Gates League, the BHL. So if you haven't seen that, I'd recommend looking it up. There's a Save the BHL thing going around. I think it's on Facebook. There's a group. So we may actually report on that a bit. We've got a couple people that are interested in possibly coming on and talking about it. There's just some weirdness going on. So again, we are in late July, early August for hockey news, so we're kind of starved for it. But still, it is actually extremely interesting, especially for those that play hockey, as I do, to kind of see what's going on in other leagues. So we may have something about that on. Also, a friend of the show, Tom Calhoun, the Blues longtime PA guy. I did speak with him, and he's going to be coming on soon as well. So that might be next week, might be 2 weeks out. We don't know, but he will be on soon. And then, of course, as I said, we've got the Bill being in goal again. We'll do another show where we talk about him coming back on the ice. So plenty of stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. And obviously, we still have Mystery Hockey Theater that'll be playing here soon. We'll do another one of those. And soon, before you know it, folks, it's going to be hockey season. I can smell it. As August, I think early August is the hardest. Like the first 2 weeks of August, I think, is when it really hits, like no hockey at all. But I think after that, you start kind of feeling like it's coming. It's almost here. It's almost time. So just get through the next couple weeks, folks, and I think we will. I think we'll be getting back into good spirits about hockey coming back soon. So that'll do it. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Email him at mike@strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's mike@strikewithmike.com. And by Wolf Power Washing, St. Louis's premier power washing company with the best rates in town. Call Joe Wolf at 314-420-5434 and get the best-looking and greatest power washer in the area. That's 314-420-5434. That will do it for episode 42 of Season 13 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great week, everyone. For Kurt Price and Bill Day, I'm Jeff Ponder, and I will talk with you next week. This was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?